There's a reason why anytime we try to build our own, they employ an all-hands-on-deck, full-court press approach to thwart our plans. There was a very telling scene in the TV series, The Underground Railroad, 2 years ago. I was actually shocked the producers okayed this scene. Black people had founded this very prosperous community that was self-sufficient and thriving. One of the founders of this community decided to let the secret out the bag and brag to a few of the nearby white politicians that blacks were living just as good as them without their help. These white men were not only shocked, but envious, and then soon became unsettled and irate. And a few scenes later, they show up unannounced and completely obliterated their community, and they let it be known, no matter how free you think you are, you will always be our slave. From Black Wall Street to the Haiti community to Jackson Ward and the Springfield Massacre, anytime black people work together to build our own white supremacy plots to move in and destroy. Since slavery, this country has always wanted to control every aspect of our lives. We can't be in charge of our own businesses, our own health, nor our own education. White supremacy goes out of its way to make sure we always come to them to meet our needs. Remember when Lavar Ball, father of 3 professional basketball players, decided to forego becoming an employee for Nike and Adidas, but instead jumped out there creating and manufacturing his own gym shoe? White supremacy passed the word down to every blog, every sports show, and news outlet to destroy the reputation and image of this brand before it even got off the ground. These companies knew if the labor force realized how much money and resources they possessed to build their own brand, they could put these corporations out of business. Lavar Ball could have single-handedly changed the whole shoe and apparel landscape. These companies know black folks are the trendsetters. And for 1 year, Lavar Ball was the most dangerous man in sports. And while we're talking about sports, LeBron's childhood friend and now agent Rich Paul is now the most dangerous black man in sports. He has a long list of the most accomplished athletes in basketball. In an industry dominated by white men, Rich Paul found a way to navigate this good old boy system and win. For decades, there was an unwritten rule. Whenever you are in a position to earn millions of dollars, you could only trust a white man with your negotiations. Black men were never to be in charge of your money or representing your brand. When COVID-19 hit and the NBA shut down, 90% of the players lost a ton of money. Agent Rich Paul and his thinking outside the box represented that 10% of the players' contracts who were prepared for unknown circumstances and disasters. His players were fine. And now, Rich Paul is the most decorated agent in basketball, running circles around his white counterparts. The NBA and now the NCAA are scheming to take Rich Paul down by changing the requirements to becoming an agent. This is white supremacy at its finest. There's a community in Mason, Texas that's always been 80% black. For years, the city council and governing body was all white. These white people ran that town in the ground, abusing what little resources it had, turning in late budgets, stealing money, and driving up the debt. Finally, after there was nothing left to exploit, the white politicians left, leaving the black residents to pick up the pieces. Years went by and nobody cared. There was no money, no industry, and no assets. The new all-black city council was trying to pull the city out of the debt the white politicians left them in. But the state of Tennessee didn't too much care about the $600,000 it was owed. As a matter of fact, the state didn't even go after the white politicians they knew stole the money. The state was fine watching this town of poor black people fail. And suddenly, the mega automobile manufacturer Ford decided to build a plant nearby. The project is expected to bring $1.8 billion to the state and create 18,000 jobs. Mason, the town closest to this plant, with a sewer and wastewater system that the plant would use, would be one of the biggest beneficiaries financially. That's when the state comptroller decided they no longer wanted the black people to be in charge of this little broken town and these new resources. And they gave the black people the ultimatum: pay the debt immediately, or the state will now be in charge of all the city's finances. We are the only race of people this country works hard at stopping. We are never to be in control of anything. So when certain raccoons get paid to publicly deny that systemic racism exists, just know they're liars. Remember when the black farmers were purposely given bad soybeans so their crops wouldn't grow? Or when the USDA denied giving black farmers subsidies to purchase new working equipment and fertilizer so they couldn't expand their land, telling them they had to wait until all the white farmers got their money first. Everywhere we turn, there's a system trying to stop us. And when we say this isn't fair, they accuse us of victimhood. Word on the street was Jay Prince, owner of Rap-A-Lot Records out of Houston, Dame Dash, owner of Rockefeller Records out of New York, Irv Gotti, owner of Murder Inc. New York, and Suge Knight, owner of Death Row Records, Los Angeles, were set to combine forces and start their own music distribution company. At that time, they each had a simple production company, and neither of them actually distributed their own music. Like Lavar Ball, a bunch of wealthy black people with aspirations of leaving the plantation spells trouble for the power structure. There's a strong rumor that someone close to the situation shared it with an agent on the other side, and this set off an alarm. Suddenly, all 4 players were raided by either the police or the feds, and the whole concept was shut down. In this country, black people are to be lifelong slaves. We're never to be in a position to control any industry. We're not even allowed to control our own narratives. Comcast decided that because Byron Allen was 100% black-owned and controlled media network, they didn't want to distribute him. They didn't like the fact they couldn't control his voice. And to this day, black folks are still trying to buy back black entertainment TV. But no matter how much money we offer them, they will never relinquish that control. Black people, we got to keep fighting. We have to stop falling for their trap, buying gold chains, Air Jordans, and Gucci, and start dominating business ownership where black people are the majority consumers. And when they try to stop us, we come back harder and stronger each time. And most important, when they try to eliminate that brave black person that steps out on faith with a new idea, we galvanize with black love around them and either lift them up or catch them if they fall. Oh yeah, we can do it. Sue me. I'm rooting for everybody black. Love supreme.